Y ya, hermano. Ya. Eso no fue lo que hizo Al Capone, pues.
Al Capone.
Al Capone.
Pues sos huevón, Pablo.
And what he would do is get me the loan. I'd get a loan for $300,000, say,
Okay.
and I'd take my drug money and I'd start paying off the loan. And then I'd go out and I'd borrow off that house again. I'd buy another house, and then I'd take that money and I'd borrow, say, another $250,000. I did it with my nightclubs a lot. And then I'd borrow the money and I'd show it this way. So when they had $250,000, I bought a nightclub. They'd say, where you get it from? I borrowed it off the building.
Money laundering. It's a term that might make you think of a washing machine full of cash. But for the Mafia in the 20th century, it was a critical process to turn dirty money from illegal activities into clean and usable funds. This wasn't just a side operation. It was the backbone of their ability to operate and expand. Without a way to legitimize their earnings, the vast wealth amassed from these activities like bootlegging, gambling, and extortion would be useless. So, understanding this process is essential to grasp how these criminal organizations thrived and operated under the radar for so long. It's a tale of cunning, creativity, and the constant cat and mouse game with law enforcement, where every move was calculated to outsmart the system. You see, at its core, money laundering involves three main steps: placement, layering, and integration. Placement is the initial stage where the illicit money is introduced into the financial system, often through businesses that handle large amounts of cash. In this instance, think of restaurants, casinos, and of course, laundromats. Venues where cash flows in and is significant enough to mask the inflow of the dirty money. This stage is crucial as it marks the entry point of illegal funds into the economy. Layering involves moving the money around, typically through a series of transactions. This is done to obscure its origins. This can include wiring money through various accounts, converting it into different currencies, or investing into assets such as real estate or fine art. The objective here is to create a complex web of financial transactions in which are difficult to trace. And finally, integration is the stage where the money is re-entered into the economy and apparently as legitimate funds, ready to be used without raising suspicion. At this point, the once illicit money can be invested into legitimate businesses, spent on luxury items, or even used to further fund criminal enterprises. As it turned out, the Mafia mastered these techniques to perfection, making it nearly impossible for authorities to trace the origins of their wealth. They developed sophisticated methods and continuously adapted to new laws and regulations. This expertise in money laundering allowed them to maintain their operations and expand their influence with seemingly legitimate finances. By understanding these methods, we can better appreciate the challenges faced by law enforcement and the ongoing battle against financial crime. This chapter sets the stage for a deeper dive into the sophisticated world of Mafia money laundering, where every single dollar was cleaned and was a step toward maintaining their empire and evading the ever-watchful eyes of the law. My name's Mark, and welcome to my channel. I make deep dives into the dark world of money, power, and business, empowering you, my cherished viewer, with all the tools you need to take control of your future. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to not miss out on any of my weekly uploads. These videos take quite a while to create, so your engagement is highly encouraged and appreciated. Now tap in, and I'll explain.
Going into the 1920s, many people believed banning alcohol would make America more peaceful. They were wrong.
During the Prohibition era, Mafia families flourished by running speakeasies and bootlegging operations. These illegal enterprises generated enormous profits, transforming the Mafia into economic powerhouses virtually overnight. However, with great wealth came the significant problem of how to spend this illicit money without attracting attention. Flashy spending could easily draw the scrutiny of law enforcement and the IRS, leading to potential investigations and arrests. To continue their operations without interference, the Mafia needed a way to make their dirty money look clean, allowing them to enjoy their ill-gotten gains without suspicions. To solve this problem, the Mafia turned to legitimate businesses to launder their money. They bought laundromats, restaurants, and bars, businesses with high cash turnover that made it easy to mix ill-gotten gains to legitimate income. In this instance, laundromats, for example, could convert high cash revenue without arousing suspicion, as it was normal for such businesses to handle such a large amount of cash. Similarly, bars and restaurants provided perfect fronts for their operations, allowing them to inject their illegal earnings into daily business transactions. By investing in these types of businesses, they could claim their earnings came from legitimate sources, effectively washing their money clean. This practice not only helped them evade the law, but it also allowed them to expand their criminal empires by reinvesting their laundered money back into their illegal activities. furthermore, creating a continuous cycle of crime and profit. This chapter reveals how the Mafia's need for clean money drove them to innovate and exploit the weaknesses in the financial system. Their ability to seamlessly blend legitimate and illegitimate operations was key to their success and longevity. You see, this strategy of intertwining illegal and legal activities set a precedent for criminal enterprises to follow. By understanding these tactics, we can see how the Mafia maintained their operations and avoided detection for so long. This seamless blend of legitimate and criminal ventures made it difficult for authorities to dismantle their operations, as proving the illicit origins of their wealth became a complex and challenging task. One of the most famous money laundering stories involves Al Capone, known as one of the most notorious gangsters in American history. You see, Capone ran a chain of laundromats where he could mix his bootleg profits with the laundromat's cash income, effectively cleaning his money. This ingenious method not only provided a cover for his illegal activities, but also highlighted the creative lengths to which the Mafia would go to protect their wealth. By operating these laundromats, Capone could claim that his immense cash flow was generated from legitimate businesses, making it difficult for the authorities to trace the money back to his illegal enterprises. You see, this not only allowed him to enjoy the fruits of his illicit labor, but also reinforced the idea that the Mafia was always one step ahead of the game and the financial cat and mouse game. By the mid-20th century, the Mafia saw another opportunity in Las Vegas. They invested heavily into casinos where they could launder vast sums of money through gambling operations. As it turned out, the high cash flow and relative anonymity provided by the casinos made them the perfect cover for their illegal activities. Money could be easily funneled through the casino, disguised as gambling winnings, and then re-entered the economy as clean funds. This was the ideal step because the large values of cash handled daily by casinos made it difficult for regulators to distinguish between illegitimate gambling profits and the money that was laundered. However, the glamorous and bustling nature of Las Vegas provided the Mafia with the perfect backdrop to integrate their operations seamlessly into the booming entertainment industry. These schemes exemplify the Mafia's ability to adapt and find new ways to launder money. The ingenuity displayed in these operations underscores the Mafia's relentless pursuit of methods to sustain their criminal enterprises while evading detection. By understanding these historical examples, we gain insight into the sophisticated strategies used by organized crime to evade detection and sustain their operations.
How much money are you watching move through there?
There were people coming in with 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, 200,000. I mean, there was a buy-in of $500,000 in cash at one point.
The Mafia's constant innovation in laundering techniques not only secured financial stability, but it also set a high bar for criminal ingenuity that continues to influence money laundering schemes today. One common method used by the Mafia was Smurfing, where large amounts of money were broken down into smaller deposits to avoid detection. As it turned out, this involved using numerous individuals, or Smurfs, to make multiple small deposits, each below the threshold that would trigger suspicious activity on a report. By distributing the money into smaller, less conspicuous amounts, the Mafia could evade the attention of banks and regulatory authorities. This tactic made it difficult for authorities to trace the money back to its source, effectively dispersing the risk and making the trail of transactions more complex, as well harder to follow. Smurfing not only reduced the chance of raising red flags, but also allowed the Mafia to leverage the sheer volume of their operations to stay under the radar. In addition to Smurfing, the Mafia utilized offshore accounts and shell companies to hide the origins of their money. By moving money through a series of these entities, often located in countries with, let's just say, lax financial regulations, they could make it nearly impossible to trace back to their criminal sources. As it turned out, offshore accounts in tax havens provided a level of secrecy and protection from law enforcement in the US. Shell companies, which existed only on paper, acted as intermediaries in the money laundering process, adding layers of separation between the money and its legal origins. These entities were often registered in jurisdictions with strict privacy laws, such as Switzerland, further complicating the efforts of investigators to uncover the true ownership and source of these funds. Understanding these mechanics is crucial to appreciating the sophistication of Mafia money laundering schemes. The methods that they used were not just about hiding the money, but about creating a labyrinth trail that could confound even the most determined investigators. The combination of Smurfing, offshore accounts, and shell companies formed a complex web of financial transactions which were designed to obscure the illicit origins of the money. This chapter delves into the intricate techniques that made Mafia money laundering so effective. By examining these strategies, we can better understand the challenges faced by the law enforcement agencies in the 20th and 21st century, unraveling these schemes and the ongoing need for advanced anti-money laundering measures in today's financial landscape. By the late 20th century, law enforcement agencies began to crack down on the money laundering schemes. This era marked a turning point in the fight against organized crime, as new laws were introduced to make it increasingly difficult for the mafia to clean their money. The introduction of the Bank Secrecy Act in 1970 was a significant step forward. It required financial institutions to report suspicious and illegal transactions, creating a paper trail that could be used to track down illegal activities. This act marked the beginning of a more rigorous approach to financial regulation, which was aimed at closing the loopholes that the mafia has so effectively exploited. The fight against money laundering intensified with the Money Laundering Control Act of 1986. This made money laundering a federal crime. This law not only increased the penalties for those caught engaging in these activities, but it also provided law enforcement with more tools to combat financial crime. The increased legal risks and the prospect of lengthy prison sentences made money laundering such a more dangerous operation. These legislative challenges were complemented by improved investigative techniques and the growing sophistication of financial institutions in detecting and reporting suspicious activities. As it turned out, the crackdown on money laundering led to the downfall of many organized crime syndicates. High-profile arrests and convictions demonstrated that even the most powerful mafia families were not beyond the reach of the law. Figures who had once seemed untouchable, such as Capone, were brought to justice, sending a clear message that the era of unchecked mafia dominance was coming to a swift end. The increased scrutiny and enhanced regulatory frameworks forced the mafia to adopt more sophisticated methods, but it also significantly reduced their ability to launder money on the same scale as before. This period marked a significant decline in the power and influence of organized crime groups, as their financial lifelines were systemically dismantled. While the mafia's heyday may be over, money laundering is still very much alive today. Modern criminals have adapted old techniques and developed new ones to stay ahead of the law. The legacy of mafia money laundering lives on, serving as both a cautionary tale and a blueprint for contemporary criminals. Today, money laundering has become a global issue, with criminals exploiting international financial systems to obscure their origins of their ill-gotten gains. This chapter highlights the ongoing battle against the financial crime and the importance of vigilance in protecting the integrity of the financial system. By understanding the history and evolution of money laundering, we can better equip ourselves to tackle these challenges and safeguard the global economy from illicit activities. The mafia's money laundering techniques not only funded their criminal empires, but also left a lasting impact on the financial world. Their ability to innovate and exploit weaknesses in the financial system demonstrated the need for robust anti-money laundering measures. Today, these measures are a critical part of the global financial system, helping to detect and prevent illicit activities. Understanding the history of mafia money laundering activities provides valuable insights into the challenges faced by law enforcement in the 20th and 21st century, as well as the ongoing efforts to combat financial crime. It also underscores the importance of continued innovation and vigilance in the fight against money laundering. The mafia may no longer dominate the criminal landscape. However, their legacy serves as a reminder of the constant need to adapt and evolve in the face of ever-changing threats. So the next time you hear about money laundering, remember the cunning and creativity of the mafia. They turn crime into an art form, but their legacy serves as a warning of the constant fight against illegal financial activities. By learning from the past, we can better prepare for the future and continue to protect the integrity of our financial systems. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the historical impact of money laundering and its significance in the 20th and 21st century related to organized crime, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more. I produce videos like this on a weekly basis, so be sure to tap in. As always, I've been Mark, you've been great. Stay dangerous, and I'll see you in the next one.